Marine ecosystems are dynamic and complex systems shaped by countless interactions among organisms and their environments. At the core of understanding these interactions lies the concept of the food web, a network that describes who eats whom, mapping the transfer of energy and matter through different trophic levels. These webs are foundational to ecosystem functioning and are critical for guiding sustainable resource management in the oceans. Historically, marine resource management focused on single-species dynamics, often overlooking the interconnectedness of species and the broader ecosystem effects of human activities. However, it has become increasingly evident that this narrow approach leads to trade-offs and unintended consequences. Changes in the abundance of one species can reverberate throughout the food web, altering predator-prey relationships and destabilizing ecosystem processes. This has led to a growing consensus that ecosystem-based management is essential, one that considers ecological interactions, system-level properties, and the cumulative effects of multiple stressors. In this context, food web models serve as essential tools. These models simplify real-world ecosystems to quantify the structure and functioning of marine communities. They can integrate ecological relationships across all trophic levels, from microscopic primary producers to top predators, including human fisheries, and account for both feeding and non-feeding interactions. By doing so, they allow scientists and policymakers to explore how ecosystems respond to natural variability and human-induced pressures such as fishing, pollution, and climate change. One of the most widely used frameworks for such modeling is the EcoPath with EcoSim approach. It offers a mass-balanced representation of food web dynamics, capable of simulating temporal and spatial variations in ecosystem behavior. This modeling framework enables researchers to derive a suite of ecological indicators, metrics that characterize the organization, productivity, and resilience of ecosystems. Despite the proliferation of food web models over recent decades, there remains a need to synthesize and compare findings across ecosystems on a global scale. The 2014 study by Heymans et al., Global Patterns in Ecological Indicators of Marine Food Webs, a modeling approach, addresses this by performing a systematic analysis of 105 published marine food web models from diverse ocean regions and habitats. By examining structural and functional ecological indicators across varying ecosystem types, locations, and exploitation levels, this research seeks to identify consistent patterns in marine food web dynamics. The ultimate goal is to enhance our understanding of marine ecosystem functioning and improve the scientific basis for ecosystem-based management worldwide. To investigate global patterns in the structure and functioning of marine food webs, the authors conducted a comprehensive meta-analysis using an extensive set of ecosystem models. The foundation of their study was a collection of 105 published food web models representing marine ecosystems from around the world, including environments as varied as coastal lagoons, continental shelves, coral reefs, estuaries, and deep-sea systems. These models were all constructed using the EcoPath with EcoSim framework, a standardized modeling approach that enables the quantification of energy flows and trophic interactions within ecosystems. Each model provides a snapshot of an ecosystem at a particular point in time, detailing the biomass and production of different species or functional groups, as well as the flows of energy among them. The models vary in complexity, from relatively simple configurations with a handful of groups to highly detailed representations containing dozens of interconnected components. From these models, the researchers extracted a comprehensive set of 26 ecological indicators that capture different aspects of ecosystem dynamics. These included measures of energy flow, such as total system throughput and primary production efficiency, indicators of biomass distribution, including total community biomass and the biomass of specific functional groups, and trophic structure metrics, such as mean trophic level, omnivory, and transfer efficiency between levels. The study also assessed indicators related to ecosystem organization and resilience, like ascendancy, redundancy, and recycling. In addition, several fisheries-related indicators were considered, including total catches, trophic level of the catch, and measures of fishing sustainability. These indicators have been widely used in ecological research to assess ecosystem health, organization, and resilience. The core aim of the analysis was to identify whether consistent patterns in these indicators could be observed across different ecosystems. To this end, the authors classified each model according to a set of ecological and geographic traits, including ecosystem type, latitude, ocean basin, depth, size, time frame, and the level of human exploitation. They then statistically analyzed how the ecological indicators varied with these traits. To account for potential differences in model construction, such as the number of groups or links in each food web, the authors incorporated these structural features as covariates in their analysis. This step was critical to ensure that observed patterns reflected ecological differences, not merely differences in model design. In summary, this methodological approach allowed the researchers to assess whether certain ecological characteristics of marine food webs are globally consistent, or whether they vary systematically according to environmental conditions or human impacts. This study represents one of the most extensive cross-system comparisons of marine food webs to date, offering a robust framework for advancing ecosystem-based management. The analysis revealed several significant patterns in the structure and functioning of marine food webs across the 105 ecosystems examined. These patterns varied notably with ecosystem type, ocean basin, depth, size, and level of human exploitation. One of the key findings was that coral reef ecosystems exhibited the highest levels of total energy flow and community biomass per unit area, indicating high productivity and dense biological activity. In contrast, lagoons, estuaries, and bays showed lower efficiency in transferring energy through the food web and higher levels of recycling, suggesting that these ecosystems are more reliant on internal processes and detrital pathways. Geographic variation was also evident. Western Atlantic ecosystems were generally more complex and organized, with greater capacity to absorb and mitigate external impacts. Eastern Pacific ecosystems, on the other hand, were less structured and showed signs of lower internal organization, despite their high levels of primary production. These differences underscore the influence of both regional oceanographic conditions and ecosystem configuration on food web properties. When comparing ecosystems of different depths, shallower systems had higher flows of organic matter to detritus and greater levels of recycling, while deeper systems exhibited more efficient energy transfer to higher trophic levels. Similarly, smaller ecosystems showed higher recycling activity and lower energy export, while larger ecosystems displayed greater energy export and more linear food web structures. The analysis also found that certain ecological indicators remained relatively stable across time, indicating that many structural and functional traits of marine food webs persist despite temporal changes in environmental or exploitation conditions. In terms of human impacts, heavily exploited ecosystems showed altered food web properties, including lower biomass of high trophic level species and reduced ecosystem organization. Conversely, ecosystems with minimal or no fishing activity retained higher diversity and structural complexity. Finally, the study highlighted the importance of key functional groups, species or groups that play disproportionately influential roles in food web dynamics. Ecological keystone species were characterized by low biomass but high impact on the structure and functioning of the ecosystem. These were typically top predators, such as sharks, large predatory fish, marine mammals, and seabirds. Their influence was primarily exerted through strong top-down control of prey populations. Interestingly, keystone species were especially prevalent in ecosystems with low fishing pressure, where they represented up to 10% of the functional groups. Conversely, in both heavily exploited and not exploited ecosystems, this proportion dropped to around 4.5%. In these cases, structuring or dominant groups, species with both high biomass and high functional importance, often exerting bottom-up control in food web interactions, such as benthic algae and invertebrates, became more prominent. In sum, this study provides one of the most comprehensive global assessments of marine food web structure and function to date. By systematically analyzing ecological indicators across a wide variety of ecosystems, it offers important insights into how marine systems are organized, how they respond to human impacts, and how their functioning varies with environmental and spatial characteristics. A central conclusion is that food webs are shaped not only by biological interactions, but also by ecosystem traits such as type, depth, size, and geographic location. These factors significantly influence the distribution of energy, the organization of trophic levels, and the resilience of the system. Moreover, the study highlights that fishing pressure can substantially modify food web dynamics, often reducing the abundance and influence of top predators and shifting ecological dominance toward lower trophic levels and more internal recycling pathways. The identification of consistent patterns in keystone and dominant functional groups reveals the vulnerability of certain species and ecosystems to human disturbances. This reinforces the importance of conserving top predators and maintaining balanced trophic structures to support ecosystem health. However, the study also acknowledges that food web models, while powerful, are simplifications of complex realities. Their outcomes depend on model structure, data quality, and assumptions, which must be considered when interpreting results. An important implication of the study is that universal reference values for ecological indicators are unlikely to be appropriate for all ecosystems. Instead, management strategies should be tailored to the specific characteristics of each system. Establishing context-specific baselines is essential for implementing effective ecosystem-based approaches to marine conservation and fisheries management. Looking ahead, future work should aim to improve model resolution, incorporate more dynamic and spatially explicit processes, and expand the coverage of underrepresented regions and ecosystem types. Long-term monitoring and integration with environmental drivers such as climate change will be crucial to track ecosystem responses over time. Ultimately, this type of global comparative research plays a vital role in developing a general theory of marine ecosystem functioning and in supporting more informed and adaptive management of our ocean resources.